So I have snuck into the Gran Turismo World Finals here in my hometown in London. Today we're going to follow the drivers first thing in the morning, having their breakfast all the way through till the final race and when the trophies get given out. It's going to be an amazing day and I cannot wait to see how it's all going to pan out. The first official order of the day was to get all the drivers together in a quiet and calm venue for the all-important drivers briefing. Here they were presented to by members of race control about how the day's schedule was going to run.
So the grand final will also be on the Grand Valley Highway 1 reverse with 30 laps, and from the tyre there'll be 3 tyre options and you have to choose, you have to at least use 2 tyres.
All the information about the upcoming races, and then they were given an opportunity to clarify any points. And being some of the best and most detailed drivers in the entire world, there were plenty of questions, as no stone was left unturned. After this session concluded, the only place any of them could do any more talking was on the track. It's 10 AM and the drivers have had their driver briefing, so everyone behind me now knows all the rules. They've had an opportunity now as well to ask questions and get ideas of all of the details of the races that they are about to go to. So whilst the drivers headed over to the auditorium for the first time, I remained outside to take a look at a staple of any Gran Turismo live event, the car lineup. As always, Gran Turismo had arranged an incredible array of cars outside. We saw incredible machines from Porsche, Mercedes, Lexus and Ferrari. Even Kaz, the founder of Gran Turismo himself, was out there admiring them. However, one car undoubtedly stole the show. The limited edition 1,000 horsepower, £3 million Aston Martin Valkyrie. As you'll see, we'll come back to that and take a look in a tiny bit more detail later on. Back inside the closed doors of the auditorium, it was a hive of activity, making sure the production side of things was on point. The audience weren't due in their seats yet for a few hours, so the production team were running through their scripts, with the drivers being told exactly where they needed to be and when. And before long, it was time for the first on-traction of the day to begin, which they treated like a dress rehearsal for the intros, which is always really impressive. Each driver was announced onto the stage, walking through a wall of smoke and standing by their assigned rigs for the day. So the time now is 11:30 and behind me are all the Nations Cup drivers. This is their final opportunity, their first and final opportunity. They've got half an hour now in the rigs to get all their settings sorted, where they're sitting, make sure they've got all their wheel in the right settings, and then they've actually got what time is left to practice, because after this comes quali. After spending time together laughing and joking around, everything changed for the drivers as practice began. The smiles disappeared and the fierce competitors in every single driver came out. It was clear it was game time. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I sit in a rig that isn't mine, I feel completely lost. Everything looks and feels different, and these drivers had just 30 minutes to get feeling completely at home and driving their absolute best if they had any chance of bringing home a win here. It was absolutely fascinating to see how these drivers were going about practicing in the flesh. They were playing with braking points, trying out different lines and extracting every last bit of speed these cars would give them. For context, a lap in the 1:27 is good for me around here in the RBX 2019. These drivers were putting in 1:25s, seemingly for fun. Where so much of this competition is held in a strictly controlled environment, all the drivers are using the exact same rigs, wheels and headphones. One factor that the drivers could control, however, was what they were wearing. Many of the drivers elected to wear gloves and selected their own choice of footwear very carefully. If it were me, I'd just be wearing socks and no gloves, which is probably one of the many reasons why I'm not competing at this level. After practice was done, it was time for quali. The way this day would work out for these drivers is that there would be a one-shot hot lap to determine the grid for the sprint race, and the finishing order of that sprint race would make up the grid for the final and flagship feature race. So now we're here in quali. In the background we've got just about 2 minutes left of the qualifier for the grand final. We've got the normal suspects up top, Kylian Drumont and Jose Serrano, 1 and 2 at the moment. And I'm not really surprised by that, but let's see if anybody else is going to throw their hat into the ring.
One flying lap to set your best time. Initially it was Angelo Stroza who had the advantage, the Chilean driver ahead of Guy Barbara and Takuma Sasaki, but then Adriano Corazza came over and bettered them by 1/10 of a second. No, it was all eyes on Jose Serrano. He was one of the last drivers to set a lap time in that session, and the Spaniard was on an absolute flyer. 1/10 of a second was the advantage he picked up in the final sector, and he carried that all the way to the checkered flag to claim provisional pole position in the qualifying session. You can see what it meant for the young Spaniard.
When all was said and done, the grid for the upcoming sprint race was set. The top 5 were Jose Serrano in pole, Paul Ura second, Adriano Corazza third, Kilian Drumont, who was in pole for a little while, was kicked down to 4th, and finally Thomas Laboutelet would be starting in 5th.
You look after all those wheels, though. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You put them to good use. Nine of them never got. Oh, 9? Good morning. Hello, buddy. Yeah, how are you, mate?
There was then a break for lunch, after which the doors would be opening to the public. So I took the opportunity, as this was the first event ever in London, to take some time out and show my appreciation to the community, without whom I would not be doing what I do now.
Swansea. That's where the call centre was.
That was, really.
Yeah, see, I remember.
That's what we're famous for.
Well, that's it, the call centre. Well, Welsh are famous for some other stuff, but I'm not sure that's entirely true, is it?
After lunch we made our way back to the venue, as the doors would soon be opening for the live show to start. And after saying hello to a few more of the amazing Gran Turismo community members outside, it was time to take that second look at the incredible Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Right, so in typical Gran Turismo fashion, they've got some incredible cars here lined up. And the most incredible car of them all is the Aston Martin Valkyrie. And I have somehow managed to get the key for us. But it's all well and good having the key. I'm going to try and get in it. I've been told... Am I getting closer? He's not, nobody's telling me. He doesn't. Am I getting close? Am I getting close?
No.
Where is it?
Well, go on, we'll play colder and warmer. Warmer, hot.
Ah, yes. Wow.
Good job.
And I'm okay to get in?
Can we put some grease on you?
Yeah.
I'll take the steering wheel out and I'll show you.
Take the steering wheel out.
You're not going to get past those gangly legs.
Right, go on.
Right, do you want to do it?
How do I do it?
Right, pinch it behind. Can you see like a race car? Orange bits, that's it. Pinch those two.
I can't even see the orange bits.
There you go. Squeeze it, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, how much is that steering wheel worth?
I don't know, we can do a deal. Shoes off, sorry, because they're what,
No.
size 12s?
No, they're fine. Right.
Step in, that's it.
Wow.
You fit.
Will it fit with the steering wheel or will I not be able to get out? So now, Eve, I am in a £3 million Aston Martin Valkyrie. Thankfully, I haven't got the keys, otherwise I'd be gone. But yeah, this is definitely the best car I've ever sat in.
You haven't bought it yet?
That is incredible.
Just in case.
Just in case.
The steering wheel
Yeah.
goes on.
I don't want to touch it. This is mad. Right, what's the most gracious
The
way?
easiest way is to slide up, put your bum on there.
Okay.
This is what you've got to do in Monaco,
Yeah.
gracefully. There you go. Look at that.
Wow.
I think that was the most cleanest exit I've ever seen.
Thank you,
That's
mate.
all right,
Appreciate
no
that. That
worries,
was
no
mega.
worries.
Oh my word, that is insane. Right, I've just grabbed Guy. Thank you for your time just before, because obviously we've got the Nations coming up.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? We've got about, what have we got, an hour or so before we get
about an
going?
hour and a half, yeah.
So it's very valuable time, so thank you. How are you feeling right now?
At the moment, the nerves are pretty low, but give it an hour and a half when I sit in the chair, they'll be up high again, like they always are.
Yeah.
It's a difficult circuit, difficult car, a lot of tough drivers, obviously the other 10, 11 best in the world. So it's not going to be an easy race.
Yeah.
Starting from P9, my qualifying could have been a little bit better, but also so could everyone else, as they said. So it's just kind of luck of the draw as to what we did at the time. But the sprint race, I feel like I have some good pace in it. Maybe I can move up a few positions, and then start well within the top half. Hopefully 6 and up for the grand final. And then hopefully from there get some points. I think at the moment that's my goal for this round, is just get some points, take into round 2. hopefully get on the podium, but yeah, it's a bit far from where I am right now, but it's not out of the question. So hopefully get some points and we can move into round 2.
Best of luck, mate.
Thank you,
You have to be aggressive, but best of luck.
I will be. Thank you.
So yeah,
Thanks
there's Guy. As he says, he's got a lot of work to do, so we'll see how he gets on.
Back inside a now packed venue, and it was time for the Manufacturers' Cup race, where the Asia Pacific drivers would begin their campaigns. Pleasingly, my ex-Pro-Am teammate Miazano took the crown in an epic race that was won by an insane final lap move. With that done, it was time for the sprint and the feature races of the flagship Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup.
Now we have 1 minute and 24 seconds left before the sprint race. So we've had practice, we've had quali, we're now here for the sprint race, which is going to set the grid for the grand final. And as you can hear, it's about to kick off.
It's not really much you can do in terms of strategy. It is just, as suggested, an all-out sprint race, all about paces. So it's go as Serrano leads them up towards the Dunlop curve, and as they head into the chicane, is anybody going to think about a move on the brakes? Well, the rolling start spreads the field out a little bit there.
Going now as Drummond and Laboutelet have found themselves already with a 2.5 second gap from the Spanish cars ahead. So really, this is a great start for Serrano and Europe, but a nightmare for the rest. They're already out of 16 range.
This was a really interesting race to watch. The race was a 5-lap sprint in the Valkyries at Le Mans. Despite this being a sprint race, there were two contrasting strategies on display. The two Spanish drivers worked together at the front. They didn't fight critically and pulled out a massive gap to the drivers behind, who were battling hard from the off. In the last lap, there was a half-hearted attempt by Paul Ura on the lead, but Jose Serrano came out on top. Their big picture thinking worked, as they had now secured the front row for the all-important feature race.
But he does win the sprint race here in London. It's Serrano in front of Paul Ura and Killian
So that is the end of a sprint race, or the sprint race that we've just had. Absolutely dominated by Jose Serrano and Paul Ura, with Killian Drummond coming in a distant third. So the top 3 is now set for the final race of the day, the feature race at Grand Valley Reverse. Let's see who wins.
Towards the back of the field. We wondered how this one would bubble up between the top 2.
It is 7:30, and now everything has come down to this, the final race of the day. We've had, as I say, the practice, we've had quali, we've had the sprint race, and now the grid is set. The two Spaniards are out in front, chased by Killian Drummond, the Frenchman, but literally anything can happen, and we're going to find out over the next 30 laps who's going to take this first win of the new season here in the Gran Turismo World Finals. So we actually are in the final lap of the race now, and we've got the two Spaniards, Jose Serrano and Paul Ura. It's insane, they're side by side now on the final lap, and you can hear from the crowd out here that it's all about to kick off. The two countrymen going side by side. The older Jose Serrano versus the very young Paul Ura. Is he going to go for it? He's gone for the lunge here, he's side by side. Oh, he's almost lost on the exit, so they've got one more corner left as they make their way up the road. As they can't get my words out. They make their way up the hill. Jose is going in. I don't think Paul's going to be close enough. Is he going to try it? No, he's not going to be close enough, and you're going to hear it in a minute. Jose Serrano is going to take the first race victory of the year just from Paul Ura, Spanish 1-2. Absolutely insane here in London.